Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Pflugerville. The thing we're talking about this morning is from the John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and we're going to talk about that today. And this phrase is very simple. In the beginning was the Word, and then if you go into the Bible it says, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So the word is translated from the original Greek, which is logos. And the word logos is a rather mystical word. And frankly, if you dig into it, like if you Google logos, you're going to get pages and pages and pages of stuff. Because there's all kinds of people over the years that have had all kinds of ideas about it and tried to make it mystical and everything else. And the word logos simply was a more impactful word of the word word. So a direct translation of the word word, if I can use that double word, but it was also considered a basic principle of the universe. And that's in the definition of logos. So it must mean that words are important. Now we spend a lot of time involved in that, and truthfully, the words that we speak are the whole basis of the metaphysical and the spiritual interpretation that we're dealing with in the Bible. And one of the basic principles in unity is what I speak, I create. I am a creator. And I co-create with God. Okay? So if that's that important, words mean things. And our culture has gotten to the point where words don't mean things. Or I have to take words personally. So I want to talk about that this morning, and we're going to get involved in that. But please understand, there's all kinds of interpretations out there, and throughout history, all of the major thinkers of the world have had their opinion. So this is Robert's opinion, and I believe the spiritual opinion that we're really dealing with. So I'm going to go in, and we're going to read it. By the way, I'm reading today from the New Revised Version, which I had somebody wonderfully donate to me. Thank you. And it is John 1:1. And in John 1:1, I need glasses, in the beginning was Word, and I'm seeing better and better all the time. That's an affirmation, by the way. Somewhere, glasses. I'm sorry, Mark, I'm destroying this thing.
You gotta find your specs.
Again, in other words, I have to be careful, though. Do you understand what I just said?
Be careful with your ions.
Be careful what you're saying. I am destroying this thing. Do you understand? Words have power. So what did I do? I just cut off my word. So anyway, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Everything.
Something
Out on the brink of everything. On the brink of.
Beautiful music, Larry.
It is really nice.
Folks, there are no coincidences. Do you understand that? But it's amazing to me. It really is. We really had an interesting time this morning. We really did. And because when the door's locked and you can't get in to set up, it's like panic. What do we do?
Have it outside.
And honestly, people that came in for a 9 o'clock class had no idea anything had happened.
Right.
Okay, the only thing that happened was we had only one crisis, and there was no half and half creamers for the coffee.
And then
Huh?
Terry opened her Christ consciousness and brought us milk.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So see, this is the idea. Things always work for the highest and best. And I'm going to deviate a bit. See, we take things seriously. We really do. Do you understand? Like we might even think there was something evil keeping us from holding our class. Do you understand something started? It could have been somebody had a problem with the door 2 weeks ago, and they hired a locksmith, and the locksmith came in, and then there's so this domino of events that occurred that the door was locked this morning. And then we had to panic and understand. Now please understand, you had people that said, okay, it'll work out. Do you hear the word? It's going to work out. So it's what we speak is what we create in life. So the question is, how did we create the problem with the door in the first place? It doesn't matter. Somebody probably 2-3 weeks ago made a decision to do something which domino affected in our life. And a lot of times we are third, fourth, fifth, sixth level of an event that occurred and we take it personally. So again, it's an attitude on life. So let me go on. In the beginning with the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, which is pretty clear. Anybody agree?
Yeah.
Now the key to it is people have had to say the word must mean something else there. So they have to be talking about Jesus or have to be talking about somebody else because the words I use couldn't be God. Do you understand? Because the problem has been all the way, Jesus was actually, if you understand it, crucified because of blasphemy, because he called himself God. He admitted that he was God. So here we are 2,000 years later, learning that the word that we use might be divine words, creating our world around us, and we can't believe that. So where are we? Where are we in our spiritual path? It's fascinating to me. So I go on. He was in the beginning with God. So who is he? Okay, so the question is he, she, it. So have we been in the beginning ever since God was created and we were part of that creation originally? We don't know. All things came into being through him, and without him and not one thing came into being. So what is coming into being is the Word, and is clearly saying, because of he, whoever he is. Okay, so what is he? And we're having problems with pronouns in our society right now. Anybody agree with that? So we're getting lost in the conversation, and we're actually looking for a word. I was going to use a nasty word. I call it technical language, by the way. But we're using word that dumbs down the original intent of creation. So it's a very interesting conversation. It goes on and on and on. Here's an idea. There's an energy for good in the universe. And that comes from, that statement actually was over in Science of Mind, which is now Center for Spiritual Living. And the founder of that used it in his book, There's an Energy for Good in the Universe. So there's an energy for good in the universe. Anybody agree? One of the first principles in unity is there's only God, and God is that energy. So where is that energy? And if you stop and think about it, how does that energy presence itself in the world around us? In other words, how does the energy of God become prevalent in our world? And in Genesis, the whole first chapter of Genesis is God calling forth the light and the seas and the animals and everything else just by the power of the spoken word. So is that a metaphor or is that an actual thing? And does it matter? Because the metaphor, and we know all the ancient writings are metaphors and stories that helped us understand the spiritual journey of the human being. So a lot of the stories that occur throughout the Old Testament, and then Jesus' teachings, he used stories, correct? Mm-hmm. And the stories show that things were created out of the Word or out of the energies of the Spirit. So how do those energies come up? How do they show in us? And and I've been looking for metaphors myself, conversations, stories. And for some reason I thought of a tree. Anybody have a picture of an oak tree in your mind? Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, Valerie purchased we have a beautiful painting waiting to go in our new location, and it's a big oak tree. And oak tree is a symbol of what's possible in life, because the oak tree grows from this little acorn. And if it's planted in the right soil, given the right energy through water and everything else, it grows into this huge oak tree. And how long do oak trees live? Years. There's an oak tree somewhere in Texas that's 300 or 400 years old. So the idea is things get better and grow as they're sustained with new energy. So let's talk about a tree and watering a tree. So the tree grows if it's got dirt and nutrients, and it has water. Okay, and as it gets water, it does what? It grows. It takes that, integrates it into its branches, and grows as a tree. What happens when you cut the water off?
Weakens the tree.
The tree starts diminishing. During times of drought, our trees, we got trees in our development there that have had a problem with the ice.
Yeah.
So external things start affecting it. But what happens? It's really just things being cut off from the tree and the growth of the tree. There's nothing really that happens to the tree itself other than lack of. Everybody got it? So, to me, that's a story, a metaphor for spirit. And we are human beings. We are here to channel spirit into this world around us. Now, how do we do that? How do we invite the spirit of good that's everywhere present? I'll call it life force. Everybody, it's a better term, life force. So everything has a life force that grows. And the life force in a growth diminishes when the access to the life force is diminished. So how do we cut off? In the metaphor, it's talking about us. It says we're created in the image and likeness of God. We are direct heirs of God. So we are everything, and we are due the energies of this great life force within us. So how do we take the life force in, and then how do we let it radiate? Because it's clear. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." He said it at least 3 or 4 times. So what is light? Light is a radiant energy. Yes. Now, if light is radiant, okay, and you are radiant, you got to have energy coming in to give out. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Please understand this. And the minute the energy stops coming in, the light going out stops. We came in this morning and turned the light on. What happened? It was no lights. When you turn the switch on, electricity was allowed to go into the lights, and the lights started radiating, which is an exact metaphor for us as a human being, because we are conduits of radiant energy through Christ's light. And as we allow that to come in, or let's say invite it, turn the switch on, what happens to us? And it's interesting to me. We have been through a very interesting period of time. Anybody familiar with the pandemic?
Yeah.
And the freezes? And the ice on the trees? And yet what happens? Okay? So we've been through a very interesting period of time. And are people still recovering from that period of time? Yes. And what are they thinking about? What do we keep talking about? So the words we use are the switch that turns off and on the radiant energy of the life force that's available to us. And I've really been thinking about this. And it's I keep looking for scriptures. I haven't run into one. I'm going to give you a couple. You got to go Old Testament, remember? Please understand, these ideas are not just in the Christian religion. They are everywhere present in other religions. In spiritually oriented religions. So back in Isaiah 55:11, it says, so shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. That means the words you speak. Got it? Okay? Then it says, it shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose. So as I speak, I'm creating purpose with my words in my life and the lives around me. Because who am I? I am here to turn on the switch of radiant energy to make life work. And then it goes on. But it shall accomplish that which purpose and succeed in the thing for which I sent it. Ancient Jewish philosophy. Okay? From Isaiah, who's one of the major prophets and called one of the Christ-like beings in the Old Testament. Then we go to Jesus, Matthew 12:37. It says, are you ready? Pretty interesting, same idea. The good person brings good things out of a good treasure, and the evil person brings evil out of the evil treasure. Where is treasure hidden? Within our hearts.
Within our hearts, within us.
It's the subconscious mind who we are. And then it goes on and says, I tell you, this is Jesus, on the day of judgment, you will have to give an account for every careless word you utter. Anybody familiar with casual conversations? How about the term old-fashioned chat? I don't want to hear it. Okay, and then it goes on and says, for by your words shall ye be justified. That means made whole. And by your words you will be condemned. Oh my goodness. Heavy stuff. So is it important? So you go back to the words were in the beginning, words were, then the word was God, and the word was with God. So who is speaking the words that we speak? If nothing else, an essence of God. And then we wonder why we have problems. So here's the idea. The light switch, okay? You turn the lights on and you can turn the lights off. So you choose whether you have light around or no light. Because there's times I want to go to bed and turn the light off. I want to relax, okay? So, how do we turn the light on within us? It says it. For by the words shall they be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Now, well, I'm not going to go that strong, but the words that we speak, even casually, have a difference because they are creative. We know that there's an energy for good in the universe. It's part of what we call the ethers. If you get involved in what are the original basics of the universe, earth, air, fire, water, and then they added ethers, which is the energy around us, which is of God. And when we speak into those ethers. Now, the problem is we see form. In other words, I see a table with a tablecloth and a light, okay? And somebody made that from their thought. In other words, sometime a few years ago, you bought a table, but somewhere back in time, somebody thought, oh, we need something that I can put a basket on. So then they created a table, which is a flat surface to put a basket on. And then they figured out, well, we can make it so it's foldable. So somebody's energy created this table out of their mind. Everybody agree? Mm-hmm. See, we forget that. So where did that table come from? Did it come from the material that it's made of? No. It came from the energy of somebody thinking and creating it out of their hands, out of the material that we have. So the world is an energy world. We live in an energy world of thought. And see, we forget that because we see things, okay? And so things happen because somebody did something. But then we don't have any concept of things happen because somebody thought something and somebody spoke it into being. Okay, it's a really fascinating idea. And I've been working on this. Madeline gets tired of me talking. She said, I've heard all this before. So understand that if you go back to the book I'm thinking of is Your Word is Your Wand. Okay? So what we speak is what we create. Now, Valerie in her meditation used, and the words, the phrase that stuck out for me is mind at peace. So the mind is creative. We acknowledge that. Even quantum physics has said your thinking changes things, okay? So we pretty well accepted, even scientifically, that there's an idea, there's a power to thought. And how come people have different levels of being? How come some people live so comfortably and others don't? Okay? There's got to be a reason for it, and it's not a reason other than, see, we have to blame somebody else, so the kingdom of heaven is within, and we forget about that. So the event that occurred, I don't know, 100 years ago, there's a domino effect. And what is happening to me today is somebody spoke something 100 years ago. Now, I'm not getting that radical. But the idea behind it is we keep looking for things outside of ourselves. And the Bible tells us The Word is God, and the Word is our creative energy, and the words we use are actually the switches that allow us to radiate. So let's go back to the oak tree. The oak tree grows because water comes in and nutrients came in, right? Now, if I stop that flow, what happens to the tree? Problems.
Yep.
So what happens when we cut off the flow of God energy, life force, into our being? Problems. And yet we keep looking outside to change something outside. So that's the big issue. So if it's, I want a mind of peace, and I want to live in peace, what do I have to do? Create peace. Use words of peace. And so if life isn't working, or I have issues, first place to go is, what am I speaking? What am I thinking? And the ego is so devious, it's able to cover this up. Well, you know, everybody does it. Well, you know, it's just somebody, you know, my mother did this to me, or my third grade school teacher, that's a good one for me, by the way, didn't let me do this, or I was too fat when I was that age, or whatever it is. And we keep going back to outside events rather than inside events. Now, I agree that that event created how I think. But who created the issues now? Me. So all I'm saying is, the world, I want to say the world is our oyster. It's such a difficult thing to get that here I am, and if I want to change what's out there, I have to change what's in here. And how do I do that? I start using words that sound ridiculous. You know, it's like, I'm reading right now a book that has a lot of love language, and it's kind of like it gets syrupy. But I started realizing it's talking about me, it's talking about you as a child of God. Mm-hmm. And if you're really a child of God, who are you? You are great. You are the kingdom of the world. You have everything available for you. And I'm sitting here suffering and saying, oh my God, my toenail hurts, or whatever it is I got. Okay? And the other book that Larry and I are working with Velma on is even talking about we create bacteria that we live in, doesn't it? And then that's Charles Fillmore, by the way. So we live in the creation of our own thinking, but also our own words. Now, last week we were talking about thinking. Today we're talking about the words that come out of our mouth. So, I'm rich, well, and happy, and every phase of my life is in divine order now. Is that totally true?
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
Not on the physical level. See, that's the idea. Thank you, Randy. The energy is frequency, not form. And when you speak it, your frequency, you are creating that already. But we are not allowing it to come in by negating what we've said. Okay? A couple of you are starting to do the work. I use the phrase do the work because I know I break down. I start being self-righteously indignant. That shouldn't have happened. Okay? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, what am I speaking? What am I saying? So our Bible says the kingdom of heaven is within. And I would have to agree that Jesus has a pretty good credibility in his words. Now, could they have been changed? Maybe. But those things have come through in many different forms, okay? And if you really study the Bhagavad Gita and some of those other scriptures, they say pretty much the same thing. So there's a universal idea that my word is creative. And it's like a basic principle of the universe that what I speak, I'm creating from what I'm thinking, if you understand that. And then the energy, it's a frequency thing, it's not a form thing. So it's beyond our day-to-day understanding of what we see. So I can take my glasses off. As you can tell, I've been working on this, okay? But it's like, my wonderful wife said, well, you're going to say the same thing you said last week. Yes. And I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over again until somebody starts doing it. See, you can't just sit here and think, oh, that's nice, I agree with that. Yes.
So you've
Then why
given
you
us,
see,
you've
that-
given us words that have words have frequency.
Yeah.
And so you provided us
in
our
your bulletin are the words. Now, Valerie also has a list which we'll send out next week. But there's an idea here. These are words that add to or cut off the divine flow of life force. Okay? Anytime you complain, criticize, condemn, you are creating an energy that says, I don't want it. I'll say that again. Anytime you criticize, condemn, or complain, you're creating an energy that's cutting it off, just like the tree. So you're saying no life force. So anytime your gratitude, words of love, words of appreciation, okay, we are here to support each other, not criticize each other. Okay? And that's what we do in this community. So those words. Now, there's another idea here which we're going to discuss it next week or the week after. The words, I have words that I have available to me that I can contemplate. Words like strength. Words like, another word is love. And if I just concentrate on those words, in my quiet time, things unfold helping me. Like anybody agree, occasionally we have doubt or we lose courage. Okay, so if I'm in a doubtful situation wondering, I'm complete and whole. So what does whole mean? And it's called contemplation. So we're really going to dig into this because people see life is good. Life is wonderful. We're here to celebrate life. Anybody agree it doesn't make any sense to become in human form to suffer? Okay, Randy. You know, why would a loving mother, excuse me, create you to suffer? It makes no sense. So somehow we have taken upon ourselves to feel sorry for ourselves. So it's the words that we speak. And the only thing I'm asking me to do and asking us to do is watch your words. Create a program. Get conscious about what you're saying and create a program of affirmation every day. Kathleen, does it work?
Yes, it works.
You wouldn't believe what's happening in her life. She lost everything 2 weeks ago, gone. And so the generosity of you, she had one of the best days she's ever had in her sales on Saturday because she had resources. And I apologize, but I need to say, when I called her, I think it was Tuesday I called her, and I said, listen, we're talking about doing a fundraiser. And she said, oh, she almost started crying. You know what she was doing? She was quietly praying, seeing the good. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want you to get that idea. Because the first thing we do when something happens, we panic. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Okay?
That's
So
the
I-
first thing you did this morning when we heard about the clubhouse being locked. I saw you go quiet.
I did, that's right. Because I knew something, God, it didn't look good at all. But see, please understand, the human part of us has created this immediate panic, fear response. And that's the time to stop it and say, my good is only in God's hands now. Now,
So there's the talk about mind, idea, expression.
Yep.
And then in mind, everything's possible. Like all the ideas that anybody would ever need are available in mind. And that you have access to all those ideas. And so like what happened this morning is that we just became aware of all the different possibilities and all the different ideas on how to approach the situation.
yep,
And then the expression came forth in a perfect manner.
It did.
Because we were willing to say, we know there's an answer. Kathleen's prayer, Kathleen knew that the answer was going to come. And it's just opening yourself to that possibility about every idea that you can ever be open to is there for you. You just have to be open to it.
see, we're right back to let it go. And the truth is, this is a marvelous world if you really look at it. Anybody agree when you're relaxed and open, there's a beauty here? But when you get upset, it gets awfully cloudy. Okay? So I've said enough. I appreciate you. I want to encourage you next week, please bring good food. No, don't bring what you think is good food. Okay? We appreciate you and we love you, and God bless you is my affirmation for all of everyone. Thank you.